everybody, and welcome to the Neighborhood Watch here with your guest, Dr. K and
me, Peter. Hello.
Peter. How are we doing this evening?
We're doing great. I'm excited about this because we are finally, after months, has it been months since we've seen it? It hasn't been that long.
It has.
Has it? When was it? Was it
when we watched the first one?
Yeah. Was it before Halloween? It was definitely before Halloween.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So it's probably been 6 or 8 weeks.
we really took our time on this one.
We're terrible.
Well,
but hey, look, we're going to be talking about 4 movies in the grander scheme of things here.
That's right.
So cut us some slack, people.
That's right. And we really needed that time because we were studying the whole time and taking copious notes.
Goodness.
We have a plethora of knowledge to unload.
A plethora.
A plethora?
And what is this that we're talking about, our fiends out there, our ghouls, our fans?
Tell them.
The Fright Night franchise. Yes. That's right. So we're going to do a 2-parter. This is part 1, and followed here hopefully in about a week for part 2 of Fright Night.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight's episode, we're going to focus on the original 1985 classic Fright Night, as well as its sequel, Fright Night Part 2.
From 1988.
From 1988.
So let's really confuse the listeners now.
Yes.
This will be part 1 of our podcast.
That's right.
Which we're talking about what you just said, part 1.
Yes.
And part 2.
Yes.
In part 2 of our podcast,
yes.
we'll be talking about part 1, the remake.
Yes.
Which is called Fright Night from 2013.
11.
Yep.
Okay.
and part
its
2,
sequel,
which is not called part 2.
No. It's just Fright Night 2.
Yes.
From 2013.
Yes. Okay. So that makes sense.
Did you get that, everybody? Did we confuse you enough? So it's Fright Night Part 2, Fright Night, and Fright Night 2.
but those 2 will be in part 2. This is only part 1.
That's right. And for all of you sticklers out there who think that there is a subtitle to the second sequel to Fright Night 2, there is, but no one ever uses it. So
what is it?
Take that. I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure it's only on the box of the direct-to-video DVD.
Wow. Fright Night 2, Peter Vincent's Bloody Balls. That I would see that.
I would too.
That would be a huge movie.
Oh man, good old Peter Vincent.
Oh God, no, I was close. Fright Night 2, New Blood.
New Blood.
See, whenever you put the word "new" in your subtitle,
right. Yeah.
Not
what was
idea.
That howling? New moon, or it's
was that the one?
The leprechaun, new leprechaun.
No, just don't do it. It's bad news.
No. Forget about that. Oh, sheesh. But that'll be for the next episode. We're gonna be talking about some Chris Sarandon.
Yes.
Goodness.
Yes.
Right here, some what's his name? I was gonna say Malcolm McDowell.
Oh.
But, I'm sorry, Roddy McDowell.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused with Malcolm McDowell.
Yes.
He's also a fabulous British actor.
Man.
For all of you Stanley Kubrick fans out there. But
just a second now, Dr. K. I want to go back. You mentioned The Howling, right?
Yes.
Was that the one where they were cat people in Australia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you nailed it.
That's all I wanted to know. Okay,
Yes.
Now we can keep going.
Yes, yeah. It was a female cult of werewolves in Australia.
God.
Part 3, the marsupials, is really
Yes.
that one is grandiose as far as like horrible schlock.
Wow.
That's with the birthing scene where she births out out of her marsupial cloaca or whatever she had, and it's over the top.
I remember renting that from Hollywood Video.
Oh yes.
And it was one of those rentals where you're watching it at 2 a.m, right? Because you're like, I gotta watch it when my parents are asleep.
Yes.
Because it's gonna be so great. and then you basically just cry yourself to sleep that night.
Yes. I just lost $3.
Exactly. And then I remember you remember watching those ones, and you'd have those thoughts where you're just like, this is bad.
Yeah.
You're still figuring out what bad is, but you're like,
Yes.
I don't know why I know this is bad, but this is really bad.
Right.
I don't think these people really know how to make a movie.
Right.
What?
It's like such a naive and awesome feeling because
Right.
now we're just like we
can see it.
we're just like
Yeah.
pow and we
Yeah.
know why it's garbage.
Right.
But yeah, that feeling back then of like, dang it, I'm pretty sure this
Yeah.
isn't good.
This is not. Is it going to get good?
I think I could have made this.
It's like basically it's like bad movies are like when you get on the train, right? And when you're a little kid and you see this guy just like standing there facing the corner and talking to himself,
Right.
you're like, huh, I wonder, I hope that guy's okay. I'm going to go talk to him, you know?
Yeah.
And then now you're like,
Yeah.
okay, there's a crazy guy over there. I'm going to sit over here.
Right.
You can spot him. You can spot him now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So true.
So let's get back to Fright Night.
Fright Night. Okay. All right. So why is Fright Night so awesome? We better start with the premise here, which is really that I would never say that Fright Night's underrated. I think most people who are truly fans of horror have to know about Fright Night. It's definitely up there, but it's definitely an 80s film.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think you and I will agree is a huge part of its charm.
Oh God, yeah.
Because it really is. It's like a.
It's a time warp.
It's a St. Elmo's Fire
Yep.
or any of those very teeny bopper 80s movies,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so quirky
Yep.
and so over the top in its delivery.
It's so, yeah.
And it instantly transports you there to 1985. But in a way that I don't know if it's unique, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The approach that they took in the first movie
I agree.
to telling this vampire story, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's. I remember when we were watching it, we made this comment where, Fright Night is MTV basically,
Oh, man, right.
It does. It just takes you to
Right.
like the birth of MTV,
Right.
and there's just that electricity in the air.
Yep.
It's like, it's really hard to put into words, but it's one of those things where it's like if you were there in the time and you know, you're just like, yeah, that's that 1985 feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
Back to the Future. That's
There you go.
it's
Perfect.
all that stuff, right?
Yep. Heck, that's actually a fantastic movie because it's right about the same year to compare it to. But it's that feeling,
Yep.
and but the really cool thing that they did so say different from the Halloween franchise or the Friday the 13th franchise, or which was just picking up right now the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, which came out a year just right before this, right,
Yep.
1984. Is that those movies all took themselves very, very seriously, right? And whether or not that was a good thing, they were legitimately trying to make a dark, scary movie.
Yeah.
Fright Night takes a total left turn with that. And I know, for me at least, the first time I watched it, I was like, this is funny,
Yeah.
right? Like this is Mad Magazine.
Right.
They're trying to tell jokes, right?
Yeah.
But that was part of like the dark humor
Yes.
part of it, right?
Yep.
The whole, to Chris Sarandon eating the apples.
I know.
And just the like making you feel nervous and unsettled by a very kind of tricky way of slipping humor in there. Not in direct like joke cracking way.
It's
but,
very smart.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
very smart. You put your finger on it, Dr. K. It's and that's why it still holds up today too, I think.
That's
is because
what I think too, yeah.
Yeah, it's very the humor is so sharp and it's so there's no laugh track, you know?
Oh yeah, totally.
And like almost everything else around that time, if it was a straight up comedy,
Yes.
you can almost wait for the cheers laughter track, you know?
So true.
But this doesn't have that. It's really smart and it just keeps moving along. And I think part of that too is just that MTV generation mentality too, where it's like if you don't get the joke, F you.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, okay. So very early in the movie, right? So Jerry Danbridge, played by the marvelous Chris Sarandon, Jack Skellington, for any fans out there, right?
Yeah.
He's been in a million great movies.
Princess Bride.
But Princess Bride. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
A million. But so as the character Jerry, he moves in next door to our main character. What's his name? Brewster.
Charlie Brewster.
And there's this great scene of Charlie is, he's looking out his window and he can see silhouetted in the window a girl taking her clothes off. And then she walks into camera and he's seeing her and he's getting all weird about being a voyeur, right? But then he sees Chris Sarandon's character, Jerry Danbridge, walk into character and stare
Yes.
directly at him,
Yeah.
looking directly into camera, right? Those are the MTV moments,
Yes.
right? Like
Yep.
no one else was daring to do that
No.
because it's totally breaking the rules.
Exactly.
Like you don't stare directly into camera, and you don't do these like blatantly obvious, having characters, doing this weird looking at each other
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's always got to be more subtle, right? So they said fuck subtlety. They're like, no, this is going to be the video age, right? And that shot is a perfect example of it. And then he reaches up and he pulls the window shade down, right?
Yep.
So totally, if there's been a music track going, yes.
Definitely.
Right.
I mean, it was in your face, right?
Yeah.
It almost kind of predates the Ferris Bueller breaking the fourth wall kind of thing, right?
That's
where it's
right.
like it's got that same kind of crackle though, right? It's got that same energy.
That's right.
It's just fun. It's just fun. It's funny that you mentioned that scene particularly because that one really jumps out to me too.
Yeah.
And I don't think you've seen this yet. I just saw this the other night. Summer of '84.
Oh man, I just bought it. It's in the mail.
Dude, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
I think it's coming on Friday. Yeah.
I don't want
watch
to
all the previews and I was like, I've got to have it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to oversell it, but just really quickly, I'm just gonna say that movie just nails it, man. It just nails it. It nails the '80s.
It's great
in such a great way, where but it has a scene that almost mimics that Fright Night scene in a way. I think it was a little homage or a little nod to it.
Right. Fantastic.
But then again, that scene has happened in a lot of '80s horror movies too,
totally.
right? It's almost like an old Standby.
Yeah.
Where they're like looking out the window and they see the girl taking her clothes off.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, okay, that's
like
setting
go
up the
all
jump
back
scare.
To Halloween, where you've got that POV shot, right, of Michael Myers when he's the kid, when he goes to kill his sister, right? It's all that he looks up into the window, he sees her, he does all that first person POV shot. Yep.
I think that was happening a lot in the '80s. People were just looking in other people's windows.
Hey, we got this thing called the Steadicam. What do we do with it?
Right.
Let's go look at our neighbor's window.
And like every kid had a binoculars and a CB4.
Oh man,
a little walkie-talkie.
Monster Squad, right? Yeah. Oh, to the max.
You just had to there's always the older teenage girl, and you're like 12 years old. You got to just get your binoculars out.
That's right. Oh man, every adolescent boy's dream, right?
But then you could also say go back to the Future.
Yeah. George
McFly was doing the same thing too. That's how he met Lorraine.
That's right.
He was up there in the tree with the
right.
So
that's right.
It's I guess maybe it's as long as human history.
Yeah.
We're always trying to watch. We're always these pervert voyeurs.
Yes.
And the movies just remind us of that.
That's right. They keep us in our place.
Yeah.
Of fantasy.
Yeah. But man, so Jerry Danbridge.
Yes.
First of all, I love his name because
right?
that is such a great character name.
Yeah.
Actually, all the characters in this, Charlie Brewster too.
Right.
I mean, they're just
Evil Ed.
just great.
Yeah.
You're so cool. What does he say?
Yeah.
You're so cool, Charlie. Yeah, you're so cool, Brewster. That guy too. He only exists in the '80s too. That guy.
Oh, man.
Everybody knew that guy.
Yes.
Yeah. He was like a tweaker or something, he
was the kid, and it's funny too that I think they did this better in the reboot, but it's really like so he's the main character's kind of sidekick, but they don't even like each other.
Yeah.
Right. That's the whole thing. They're kind of antagonistic. Towards one another, and then in the reboot they're totally antagonistic against you. You kind of see they develop their relationship better in that one, but in this one, they're kind of, it's like, over there and he, don't call me evil.
Right.
Okay, here's $20 or whatever.
Right. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a totally abusive friendship right there.
Yeah, that poor actor, man. What was his name?
Yeah.
Stephen Jeffries.
Yikes.
So kind of about when 1990 hit or so, and it seems like he was probably too old to be playing the teenager.
He was struggling.
He definitely did a whole slew of made for Cinemax gay porn movies.
Yikes.
I don't think he ever recovered. For people, go on IMDb and check out Stephen Jeffries, his little page, and you'll see the photo there of him. That kind of explains a lot of things.
Yeah.
Definitely riding the coattails of what he did.
Yeah.
Back then.
Right.
Not to pick on the guy.
But Dr. K, how does one recover from
That's
doing straight to Cinemax gay porno videos in the early 90s?
Right.
How can you recover?
Right. Mark Singer never did.
No. Screech neither.
Screech didn't know, man.
Yeah. But so it's one of those, tried and true tales of the seedy underbelly of Hollywood.
Yes, it is.
But he did a great job in this movie.
He's fantastic. I really, as a character actor in this movie. Good. And then he was also in another movie called 976 Evil. Did you ever see that?
Oh, yeah, I never saw that, but I know the title.
So I've got that too. It's pretty good. It's like the premise is you're calling one of these hotlines for psychic help, which we all know the hotlines were for to talk to a girl and jerk off in a corner. But he ends up calling one that is like a satanic ritual, takes your soul over kind of thing and turns him into a demon. And for anybody out there, 976 Evil and 9676 Evil 2, if you want to freaking torture yourself. The sequel to it is horrible. So he's not even in the sequel except in flashbacks, but it's totally sold as like, here he's back, Stephen Jeffries in 9762 Evil, but he doesn't have any new scenes in it, and it's just flashbacks to the first movie.
Gotcha.
Kind of very along the lines of The Howling Part 5 and 6, where it's almost not even a real movie. It's just
it's like what they did all the time in the 80s, where the writers took a vacation or something, and they're like, let's do an episode where they're like, remember when this happened, and then and then they show you scenes, and that's the whole episode. They're just like, what a great way
to shows would do that, man. I swear, you're right. They just wanted they wanted some time off, right?
And they're like, what a great way to save money and everything, and just be like, okay. I think even Star Trek: The Next Generation did that, or close to that one. I seem to remember a couple episodes where you're like, they were running out of money at this time, so they they were really trying to stretch things.
Yes.
But yeah, so but I think getting back to Fright Night again. I think what I like also about this is Jerry Danebridge and his little helper dude too, his Renfield guy, right? And that was really cool too, because it was
Billy.
It was a Dracula thing, but it was also updated. It was 80s.
That's
it was
right.
Like,
they really put their spin on it. Yeah, because he wasn't a total creep,
right?
Like Renfield was. This guy was like intimidating.
Yeah.
The whole kind of like that 80 machismo that he uses against Brewster. He's got that real like, man, I'm just gonna crush you. Every time that they're talking to each other, it's all this like major macho ego thing.
Testosterone. He's got the mullet going and stuff.
Oh man.
You're right. He almost works as Jerry's. It's like he's the face of the establishment there.
Yes,
he's the one that deals with the public and everything. Oh, totally. He's the security guard.
He's the PR and the security guard.
And then that serves to make Jerry even more legendary and not luxurious, but like mythical,
very executive, very
it's
metropolitan, or something.
And it's like, that was another 80s thing too, right?
They
always had like their little yes men. He's like a super strong security guard yes man,
right?
That's he's like holding the door there, and he's the face, and he's interacting with the cops and everything. Right. He's the regular. He can play the regular guy, whereas Jerry can't be a regular guy because he's too cool for that,
Yep. So true.
That was really neat. True.
He's great too. As far as goons go, definitely I think one of the best goons, as far as
he really was. And I feel like
the point of his character.
And
because really without him, they would have just killed him in the daytime, right? I mean, he has to be there.
Yeah.
He's always lurking, right? He's always like, sometimes he's just kind of standing there, like I dare you. Yeah. But then other times there's, when Brewster's, he's like hiding and trying to like lurk and see, and then he just pops up and he's like, hey, what are you doing?
He could so easily be played by Bill Paxton, I think, too. Don't you think?
Yes.
Like, it makes me think of Bill Paxton in Weird Science.
Yeah, right.
It's like the same character, same type.
Oh man. The obnoxious older brother.
Right. Yep. And then we have Charlie's girlfriend, who was in the great
Married with Children.
Yep.
She was Marcy in Married with Children.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda Bursey is that actress's name.
And again, it was so weird.
As Amy.
Yeah, we were watching it, and you brought that up to me, and then I was like, oh God, yeah. And so it's still strange to think, like, so she was playing like an 18-year-old.
Right.
She's playing like a senior in high school.
Right, when she was probably 29.
Right.
Because 2 years later, she's playing Marcy on Married with Children as a 30-year-old.
It's crazy.
Right, yeah.
I mean, what a huge...
But she pulled it off. She
did.
She actually did pretty good.
Yeah.
She played the teeny bopper
Definitely.
part, but definitely easily 10 years older than the character that she was playing. Yeah.
They did that a lot, though.
Yeah,
I remember even go back to Ferris Bueller.
Totally.
I think he was like 25 when he did that, you know?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, I think, and it's funny how, you know, Charlie's always trying to get laid, and
right.
and she's not letting him have any, and it's just, you know, it's...
No. Yeah, that was a good little trick they play, right? You know, we kind of see Charlie's true character as a teenager, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's lusting after his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But then when the reality of the fact that a murdering vampire who kills hookers has moved in next door hits him, then like his libido just evaporates, right? And he's like, "No, wait a minute, wait, but," and she's like, "Well, then screw you."
Yeah, right. She's all offended. And, yeah.
Again, totally MTV, right?
Man.
I think most red-blooded Charlie Brewsters out there would be like, "Well, the vampires can wait."
Yeah. We'll get to that later.
We'll get back to that later. Yeah.
That's why I have the binoculars, so I can keep an eye on that later.
Right.
I'll just close my shades because my shades will protect me. Right. Yeah. His room is so great too, isn't his room awesome? That room, I feel like I've seen that room in a lot of different movies too, where it's just the posters on the wall and all the crazy things, and
all an homage to the great horror and sci-fi.
Yep. And
it's the room we all wanted.
Yes,
right? It's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that or comic book posters or something on the walls. But it's like a young kid who knows exactly what he wants.
Yep.
And he's living in that world. Right?
He's got all the cool stuff. It actually reminds me a little bit of that Amazing Stories episode.
Yes.
With Christopher Lloyd. You remember where
he's
he's the teacher.
Yeah.
And then doesn't he headless at some point? And that kid in that episode too is very Charlie Brewster.
Right.
In the same room and everything.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of those great things where, you know, that's what I love about doing this podcast and watching that Fright Night was just, you know, it just makes you think of so many other things that you've seen that you love, you know.
Yes. Yep.
So
it made me think of Fred Savage in The Princess Bride
mm-hmm.
in his room, right? He's got his little He-Man figures are all lined up on the wall. His grandpa comes and reads to him while he needs his little glass of warm milk.
Yep. Man. Did you see that trailer where Deadpool brings Fred Savage? He kidnaps him? Did you see?
No.
Oh my God. You got to see that.
I do.
Deadpool. So I don't know if this is a real thing or not, but it's basically like they're saying, hey, we're releasing Deadpool 2 PG-13.
All right.
And so they went and they re-edited it. I'm not kidding, with Deadpool. And he's got Fred Savage all grown up now in the same room as the Princess Bride,
man.
And he's telling him the story of Deadpool, you know. And then Fred Savage is like, "Why am I here?" It's pretty great.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
It might just be like a joke trailer.
Yeah, totally.
It's worth seeing though. Yeah. It's really good.
Oh man, there we go. Internet world, go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Be like me if you're a dummy like me and haven't seen it. Yeah,
it's so
fantastic.
Good.
I was I was an idiot and went to Black Friday because I had to go to the pharmacy, which is at Target.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was at Target on Black Friday, and I only bought two things. Deadpool 2 on Blu-ray for $7.
Okay, good.
And some other movie that I can't remember for $7.
Okay. Well, I think about you a lot whenever I go to Kmart now because Kmart's closing down.
I know it.
And I just there's just not much there though. I went there to look at their mythical video section because Dr. K has found some great things there.
Dude.
Like the complete Airwolf.
Yes.
Right?
That was golden.
I think I might have gotten Quantum Leap there too.
Oh yeah.
But you know, you could just get them for cheap.
Man,
but
Garbage Pail Kids too. That's where I found Garbage Pail Kids for the first time on DVD in their cheapy bin.
So good.
I've scored on that big old the grab bag bin or whatever you want to call it.
But they're going out of business.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's a matter of time.
Yep. Yeah. So what else jumps out at you about Fright Night, Dr. K? I think that great scene where they're in the dance club. Too.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
That's such an 80s thing too, isn't it?
Totally.
Like, you got to have the seedy nightclub.
The montage,
Yep.
you know, they've got the dance montage between, you know, it's like this whole nobody's got any lines, but you've got Jerry is seducing Amy, and Charlie's stuck in the middle trying to get to her, and oh no, what's happening? And yeah, that whole thing is just, it's over the top.
Yeah.
It's over the top MTV video
so
montage.
much. Definitely. And then we got Peter Vincent.
Yes. Yeah. So we haven't talked about Roddy McDowall yet.
Yeah.
The great Roddy McDowall. Most of you horror and sci-fi fans out there will know him from his work on Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Where he was Caesar, and what was the first guy's name?
The first guy. I forget his name too. Dr. Cornelius.
Cornelius.
Dr.
Thank you.
Cornelius.
Caesar is the son of Cornelius.
That's right.
Yeah. So he was Cornelius, and then he was Caesar.
Yep. He's great.
He's awesome. Really good. Also was Bilbo and Frodo Baggins.
Yes.
In the animated. Or no, was he Samwise? He was Samwise. Sorry, Orson Bean was Bilbo and Frodo. He was Samwise Gamgee in Return of the King.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I always make that mistake.
I always liked
Orson
him.
Bean is the other one. Yeah.
I always liked him, and there's a great, I think it's a 70s horror movie called Hell House.
Ooh.
And it's a Richard Matheson movie.
Oh, dude. Cool.
Great. I think it's a novel or a short story. I read it a long time ago. He does a fantastic job in that movie, though.
Great.
Nice little known horror haunted house movie, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Killer.
Roddy McDowall.
Yep.
I love how he's got the TV show, and they intersperse that in throughout the movie.
Man, it's awesome.
that also is such a 80s trope. I mean, not a trope, but a you would see that all the time in the 80s. You know, like this show where there's, you know, you had Elvira doing hosting it, or you had Tales from the Crypt, or you had Grandpa Munster. You remember those?
Right. Oh man,
it's the same thing, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it's. Do you think too that's? I think the reason that made it into so many films was it was showing you like this first generation of TV is dying, right? The 80s have like started to steamroll these older ideas from the 50s and 60s, and the creature double feature shows were like they just weren't making it, right? And that's Roddy McDowall's whole deal. His character, Peter Vincent's character in this movie, is he's that kind of like, sorry man, this sucks, nobody's watching, you're on at 2 a.m, it's over, kind of thing.
You got the graveyard shift
because right. Now it's gonna be, you know, infomercials probably is what it would have been.
Gosh. Oh man,
or TV evangelism.
Jesus,
one or the other.
Man, I remember being a teenager and watching infomercials in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
we just had all the time in the world to waste, didn't we?
Right.
What the hell?
QVC.
Yeah.
It's the worst. That is torture.
But you're just like, I'm going to stay up late.
Yep.
I don't care.
Yep.
I'll watch whatever is on.
Right.
I'll watch the national anthem.
Right.
Before the TV goes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Kids today don't know how lucky they are.
Oh,
they can watch anything they want at
right.
any time.
That's right. I think so. The thing is, too, the trade-off is that they need people like you and I, Peter, to show them the way.
That's right.
The Tao, you know,
right.
the good side of the Force.
That's right.
Because they have so many options that they have a million wormholes to fall into that all go straight to hell.
That's right. we need to offer the lifeline.
That's right.
Because,
that's right.
Yeah, there's so much to get buried in out there.
Yeah. Whereas I think it was definitely, we were probably more hungry just trying to find stuff.
Yeah.
Because there weren't so many options to pick from, right? I mean, we always reminisce or ruminate on this, but going to the video store, to whatever it was, Video City or Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, you know, you would go there and it was that like the finding things, the going and just looking through their inventory to find the next adventure to go on.
Yes.
Right? It's so overwhelming now. If you just go on any one single outlet, if you go just on Amazon or you on Prime, on any of the direct stuff, you can look for your entire lifetime and not even get through one fraction of the inventory and not have watched a movie.
Yep, exactly.
Right? You're never under the pressure to actually watch anything. Whereas we had this nice convenient thing of you go into the horror section as a kid, as a teenager, the 200 movies they have, and it's all this matter of like, which is the next one that we're going to watch, right?
Right, because you knew that it's almost like having your wish list now, right?
Totally.
Or your watch list. Like,
totally.
You knew which ones there were, but you just didn't know which one to do.
Yeah.
Like, you're totally right. Now it's even worse though. Now I'm watching like the free channels like Tubi or Vudu,
right?
And they're like, I'm not even kidding. There's like 3,000 free movies on there.
Yeah.
And you can just sit there forever clicking through the screens. Should I watch Buckaroo Banzai? I don't know. Should I watch Steel Dawn? Yeah, I'm gonna put on my watch list.
Yeah.
Should I watch? I mean, I just spent like the other night. I just spent like an hour just clicking through there, not watching, and adding things to my watch list, which I'll probably not watch.
Yeah.
You know. That's what's the sad thing about this world we live in now.
I know it.
We just like looking.
See, and that's a perfect example, right? I think it's funny you mentioned Buckaroo Banzai and the Adventures Across the Fourth Dimension or whatever.
The Eighth Dimension.
The Eighth Dimension.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. That is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you don't have anybody to talk to turn you on to that movie, why would you ever pick it?
Yes.
You would look at it and be like, okay, RoboCop in a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
In space, whatever.
Yeah.
Why would I watch that? You would watch it because it's freaking great.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you need people to tell you like that's
exactly.
This is why
that worth seeing? Yeah, exactly. Because that's the whole thing. Buckaroo Banzai. You look at the poster for that, and it's so confusing. It's so confusing. Yeah. You're just like, just looking at this poster is taking too much work.
Yes.
I better click
like
on
Naked
something.
Lunch.
Yeah.
That was another one. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
There's a poster that has absolutely nothing to do with the movie whatsoever. Right. Like, wait a minute, a typewriter and a guy in a hat with hands. What's that thing hanging in a net up there?
We saw that too, didn't we?
I know we did see.
Video City.
The mugwump.
Yep.
We saw an actual mugwump.
Yeah.
So if you're ever in the beautiful city of Portland, people, you must go to Movie Madness because it's one of the last video rental places in the country that has, what would you say? They've got to have 50,000 movies in there, at least.
And it's all rental only.
And it's all rental, but they have a gazillion movie props, actual movie props that are awesome, and they have a mugwump from, that's what they're called, mugwumps?
Yep,
yeah,
I think you're right.
From Naked Lunch. They have one. Yeah. They also have one of the miniatures of Peter's namesake.
Yes.
Of the fire station from Ghostbusters.
Yes.
In there.
So good.
And they have one of the ears from Blue Velvet.
Yes.
Which has actual David Lynch hair on it. Right?
So cool.
I mean, it's just, if you're a movie fan, that place, you just go in there with your mouth out on the floor.
So once again, everybody, that's Video City in Portland, Maine. Okay, let's keep going. So what else was I going to say? Naked Lunch, though. One other thing about Naked Lunch that I wanted to say, and I brought this up a few times to you, but I want it on the air right now. It's one of my favorite jokes about a movie was The Simpsons, where Bart skips school, and then it shows him like, I gotta go see this movie, and he's like running to the movie theater, and then they just show the marquee and him walking out, and he's like all pissed off, and he just goes, there are exactly 2 things wrong with that title, and he just keeps walking. That's so good. Yeah. I love that movie though.
Oh, it's great.
Cronenberg.
Oh yeah. Cronenberg.
Genius.
As another aside, so my brother-in-law and his girlfriend were up from LA for Thanksgiving, and we were talking about all the horror movies that we needed to watch, and we did a roundtable. I picked 8 movies, and everybody voted. And we did matchups, so it was like movie against movie. We had 4 matchups, and the movie we ended up watching was Cronenberg's The Fly.
Oh yeah.
And my brother-in-law's poor girlfriend had nightmares, man.
Oh God, I bet
it was like,
I
can't believe we watched that.
Oh Jesus, it's a lot to handle. It is.
But Cronenberg. Oh, not to be underestimated.
Do you remember Videodrome?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I love it.
That's what Joe and I were talking about. How good that movie is, right?
Man.
Or Nightbreed, for that matter.
Yes.
he had a slew of them. Just really good movies, but then it seems like he just started acting and was like, hey, this is way easier.
Yeah.
to be
well,
an actor
and then I think
paid.
he's also one of those guys where I just wish he could have been a little bit more like David Lynch, where you know, we always talk about David Lynch too. We're such idiots.
We're fanboys.
But here's the thing about David Lynch. He just kept making what he wanted to make throughout his career.
That's right.
And all these critics are like, he's a genius, he's amazing, he should be nominated for Academy Awards. But he just was like, I'm just gonna keep making my movies. And Cronenberg, I feel like he kind of started to buy into it, and he's like, I am a genius.
Right.
I'm gonna make a serious movie now. Right. And he made this horrible, crappy, boring, and he just makes boring stuff now. Like, there's that movie about Freud with Viggo Mortensen in it, and Keira Knightley, I think, is in it. And
I
you're
don't
like,
even know about it.
whoa, Cronenberg, Aragorn, Keira Knightley. No, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
You will have more fun watching paint dry on the walls.
Oh no!
It's definitely one of those experiences. How the mighty have fallen.
Oh, I have heard of it. Yeah.
But
so watch The Fly.
Talk
about for how much you and I just absolutely applaud the era of practical effect. The Fly is absolutely it's so hard to say it's like top 10, right? Because there's so many great movies, but that movie really is. Yeah. I mean, it's at the absolute pinnacle of practical effect at its best. When his body starts falling apart and he actually becomes the Fly.
Yes.
When he's no longer Brundle, right? He's no longer Brundle or Brundle Fly. He's just the Fly. Yeah. And he steps out of his skin. That thing. Yeah. It's so over the top, and getting to see, Goldblum in it should have won an Academy Award. He's so good in it. Yeah, definitely. He really is. He's definitely it's a Jeff Goldblum character, the Brundle character, but he does so good about watching somebody deteriorate after something has happened to them, and going from being this kind of regular quirky guy to just being out of control, and turning into a monster, right? Yeah. But the practical effect that shows you turning him into the monster, and the camera work in that movie, that too, with him crawling on the walls and the ceiling and all that, that was really, really, really well executed.
It's very.
And that shot that everybody remembers when he busts through the glass wall of him kind of jumping like a bug through the wall. It's so good.
My favorite is when he's got that guy and he just like vomits his acid on his foot, and his foot just melts.
After he's already kicked and burned his arm off. Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
That's
the yuppie boyfriend.
That will give you nightmares, that scene, for sure.
Man.
I love it.
Doesn't he also? The first time that he, when he goes, he's got a pizza or something, and he's kind of really starting to lose it, and he's like, I'm gonna eat this, and he just pukes on it, and he goes, that's not good.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we're digressing,
man. But seriously, that's a great.
We will talk about The Fly way more in detail when we get to The Fly.
Can you tell me though quickly, because I haven't seen this for years. I have no memory of it other than Eric Stoltz is in it. How is The Fly? How is it? It's good. It's worth seeing.
It's good. So it's hard to compare it to the first one because the first one is so good. Yeah. I think anytime that you do that where you're like, okay, this first one's great. Yeah. That's going to be my point of comparison for the second one. Yeah. I think that's a mistake. And in that case, it's really a mistake. So if you watch 2 just for the sake of watching 2, it's an awesome horror movie. Story-wise, it doesn't hold up anywhere near as good. The pacing in the first one is just so spot on. Yeah. And the fact that you're only really dealing, the movie in the first one really only deals with 3 or 4 characters total, right? You really have Brundle, and then you've got Gina Davis's character, and then you've got the boyfriend. There's not really any extenuous characters in there. Yeah. What happens with part 2 with the Eric Stoltz and his girlfriend is now he's in a lab. There's all this weird extraneous stuff that you probably didn't need, but the effects in it are awesome. And the thing that he turns into, because he's the son of Brundle, right, and Gina Davis's character, because we find out, she didn't actually get an abortion. She has the kid, but she dies.
Spoiler.
And so then he gets brought up by this mad science agency, but they tell him it's because he's really smart, but actually it's because he's a hybrid human bug person.
Oh, yeah.
The monster because he does this cocoon V thing, right, and turns into a big freaking weirdo creature.
Yeah.
Which then turns back into Eric Stoltz. That whole thing is awesome. It's really like awesome special effects. Okay. I think it's not as awesome as From Beyond with the dude inside of a dude comes busting out, but it's similar to that, right? Wow. There is kind of a birthing scene where he comes busting out of the bug creature.
Nice.
It's not as good as From Beyond by any means. I think that's really there's no catching that.
That's the high water mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it has a similar scene like that.
Well,
and there's a really cool the part with the dog in it. Okay. The dog getting destroyed.
Really?
To put it like that is pretty freaking crazy. Good, all practical. Yeah.
I think this is a good segue for us to talk about Fright Night Part 2.
Yes.
Because you made a very interesting point there, and I totally agree with you about sequels.
Yes.
Where, you watch the first one, you're like, this is great, classic. Can't wait to see the second one.
Right.
Well, back then it was like, are they going to make a second one?
Right.
Will they make another Indiana Jones? I don't know.
Goodness.
Well, it'd be so great if they did. Who's your dream cast? Right. And then you'd sit there for years talking about rumors of a sequel, and then out of nowhere it'd be like, here's a sequel.
Here it is. Yeah.
Now here's where we get to be old men.
Oh my goodness.
Now it's like, oh, here's the next 47 Marvel movies for the next 400 years.
Yep.
You're like, oh, it's great. So it's like now watching movies is like shopping down the aisle, the cereal aisle in Walmart.
Yep.
It's like, you know what you're going to get. You know, it's all.
And it becomes more and more rare where you didn't know about the movie a year and a half before you went to see it, right? They push previews so early now, and there's so much the media side of it is so much into talking to producers and directors and writers and everybody when stuff is barely greenlit.
Yep.
Right? I mean, The Hobbit, holy crap, dude.
Oh, God.
We all stayed on that roller coaster for a freaking decade waiting for The Hobbits to get made, right?
And we all knew.
We
all knew they were going to be. And oh, God, watch that trailer. Or watch those movies just plummet off the edge, But yeah, I think... here's the thing. I think sequels...
Yep.
Sequels, this is a very interesting thing because I think when you talk about trailers and you watch the trailers and it's like everybody's watching the trailers and they're like, oh, I love that part, I love that part, and then they just rush to the movie theater to watch those parts again and laugh like they did in the trailer because it's like this weird reinforcement thing, right? And it's like if the movie is exactly like the trailer was, then we're happy, right? It's this weird thing.
It is.
If it's not like the trailer, we're disappointed and we're disgusted and we're like, that's terrible.
It's true.
It's like true. We were lied to. Right. The trailer said Prometheus, right?
Oh yeah.
The trailer said this, and then this is what we get.
I was like, isn't it so great when there are the times when that doesn't happen? Prometheus, Blade Runner, man. Right?
Yes.
It's like there's no way. There were no trailers you could possibly have guessed what you were going to get in Blade Runner 2049.
That's a great
point.
And
then you got it.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's probably why so many people were disappointed.
And that's why it bombed.
That's
You're
right.
right.
They're like, wait a minute, what about all the action and all the fighting? And all
blah, 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 this trailer said this.
Yeah.
And now we have to think.
Right.
Now we have to watch and
suffer through a wonderfully shot and written movie. What?
We have to think about character development and oh God. Yeah. No, it's weird. A great example of a good sequel though in the 80s, which was really rare.
Yeah.
Fright Night Part 2.
Yes.
It's a great sequel.
We have to start with the premise. So I think there are a lot of people who will have heard of Fright Night but will never have heard of Fright Night 2 or don't care about Fright Night 2. And you're going to tell this, Peter, because you're the one who dug this little nugget of information up. But on why Fright Night 2 was doomed before it hit the theaters. Right?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, so this is what happened. We're watching Part 2, and it's great. And we're just, both of us had seen it before, Hadn't seen it for a long time though, and I remember thinking like, God, this is really good. Why didn't this movie do better than it did?
Right.
Like it just came out in the theaters. It just bombed, disappeared. I don't even remember it being in the theater.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And so we're like looking
Literally,
it up.
like a ghost. Yeah.
We're looking it up, and we're like, oh, that's why.
Yes.
So here's our little homework, a little nugget of information here to pass on about part 2. The reason why Fright Night Part 2 didn't do shit, it didn't do anything, was because of the Menendez brothers.
Dun, dun. Dun, dun.
So there's a great little story where Roddy McDowall, and I think it's Tom Holland, the director and writer of the Fright Nights, right? And they finished the movie, and they're like, this is great. We did a good job. Everybody's happy about it.
Yep.
And they go and sit down with the head of marketing for, God, was it 20th Century Fox or Orion or Carolco Pictures. It does. It's okay. This is not important. It's the head. Yeah, it's the head of the marketing, right? Yeah. And they sit down. They have lunch with this guy, and they just have a horrible meeting, where the guy just doesn't get the movie. He doesn't get how to sell it. He doesn't know how to do the posters or anything. He's just an idiot about this movie. Yep. And they get into like an argument, and they leave the lunch, right? Well, that very night, this guy this guy whose last name was Menendez gets murdered brutally by his twin sons.
Oh,
and
man.
The
if you weren't alive then, this might be flying over your heads.
Wow.
But this was huge. This was a gigantic scandal in 1988. It was blockbuster, huge. Massive scale.
Man. Yeah. And so the great thing about this story though was then the next day Roddy McDowall calls up the Tom Holland. Yeah. And he's like, "Hello, Roddy. Did you hear the news?" And he's like, "Yeah, I didn't do it. Did you?" Cut, print. Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh, man. I could just see Roddy McDowall giving that line. Right? Deadpan. Right. I didn't do it. Did you? And so the stigma, right? I mean, that's what this comes down to, is the stigma over the murders. Yeah. The fact that this guy's movie was coming out, the studio absolutely abandons this film.
Just left it to high and dry.
And it absolutely died. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the controversy over those murders
just killed it. Yeah.
Didn't have a chance.
Yeah, and it's too bad because it really is a great movie, and it's one of the few sequels from the 80s, especially for a horror franchise or horror, any horror movies, really. Yeah. It's really hard to have a good sequel. Right.
Correct. And this really was. Yeah. And it was really setting it up, I think, for a lot of the other franchises, that there would have been 4 or 5 Fright Nights, just like there were going to be 4 or 5 or 10 Halloweens and 10 Friday the 13th.
Easily.
This was going to be the next thing, right? Especially with the star power of Roddy McDowall. Yep. Similarly to how Halloween had, what's his name? Loomis. Donald Pleasence. Donald Pleasence, right? Yeah. But so get this. The estimated budget was $7.5 million. Mm-hmm. And its gross was 2.9. So didn't even make half. Back. Yep. And it probably and because it's such a cult movie, there's no way that it's made it back on DVD sales and video.
You even didn't you buy it on eBay? And it was it's like a black market copy.
It's totally
or
black. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's only made it to DVD once. That was in 1999, and it was a super short limited release because of this guy's estate and everything. They just
don't want to touch it.
Yeah. That movie. Yeah. So the copy that I have is a bootleg, is a rip of that original copy, because there's no way I'm paying $150 for an original print.
No movie is worth that.
This movie has essentially been buried unless it's on some pay-per-view or something. But I think it's
even that
it's
though
black market. Yeah. It's blacklisted.
I think so. I think there's some weird thing with the rights, you know, where it's just you don't see it anywhere.
The rights are all in limbo. Because of the producer's murder and
And it's got a great poster too, a great cover.
Oh, dude, it's
that
awesome.
Girls with the white background and the fangs and
Yep. It's that same weird ghost cloud thing that's on the first poster. But now it's over the school instead of over his house, right? Mm-hmm.
this movie greatly does that thing which you really wish all sequels would do, where they take the characters and they show you everything that you loved about them, and then they continue, but with a new story and a new situation and like new things, but it's not so new that it changes everything. Right. It's just new enough to be like, oh, it's continuing a story.
Right. How many times do sequels? Writers and producers refuse to do this. Oh God. They will absolutely deny that you can make a sequel that way. And this movie is the perfect example of why everybody wants that so bad.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because they're like, oh no, it's got to have a twist.
Yeah.
Oh no, we have to get rid of all the original people. Oh no, we have to do something totally different.
It's got to be in space now.
Right.
You know, like just completely. You know, I mean, even look at this is a funny thing which I noticed watching the latest Jurassic World.
Oh yeah.
Is so originally, remember, you had Jurassic Park, and then you had The Lost World.
That's right.
And The Lost World sucked ass. I'm sorry, but like that whole thing with his daughter and like she sneaks on and it just was not a good movie. Yeah. And because it didn't follow the formula. And it didn't continue the story. It did that thing where it's like, let's put the dinosaurs in downtown LA now. Yeah.
Exactly.
It was just gimmick. It was a gimmick.
Oh, big time.
Right?
Big time. Yeah.
But then they finally learned it now after the 7th or the 8th Jurassic Park movie, where they're just remaking Jurassic Park. That's all it is. It's you can see the whole, you can see the script, and there's those little beats that they have to hit, and they're the same exact beats in Jurassic Park as they are in Jurassic World, as they are in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Yeah. And those movies are making tons and tons of money, and people love them. And even me, I'm sitting there, cynical old bastard that I am. I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm going, I'm enjoying this. This is fun. I like to see these dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And that's all people want to see when they see a Jurassic Park movie. They don't want to see anything new.
So true.
Fright Night, though, shows you what you loved about the cool vampires and all that in the first one. Yeah. And then it continues. Right. It does more stuff.
Here are our two good guys.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a few years later. Yeah. Our main character is in college.
Now he's in college.
And now there's vampires. Now the sister of Jerry Dambridge, who is a 4,000-year-old vampire from Europe or wherever she was from, has come to exact revenge.
It's great.
It's great. Simple.
It's a perfect next chapter, right? Yeah, and that actress too is awesome because I always recognize her from John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness.
Yes. Tracy Lind.
And she's so good in this.
Yep. Oh wait, no. Sorry. Julie Carmen. Yeah.
Julie Carmen. That sounds right.
Tracy Lind is the Alex, the new girlfriend.
The new girl.
Yeah.
She was just in something I saw recently too. Sorry, that's tangent.
Another tangent. Yeah. But Julie Carmen, who is in the Mouth of Madness, which is we will also be doing.
Oh,
Did we already do that? No, we haven't.
We have not done that. We bought it.
We haven't done that. We just watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, we watched it, and we were gonna do it in our John Carpenter podcast, and then we found out we have 1,800 John Carpenter movies to do. So we're gonna have to do that another episode, but we will do it. Yes. But Fright Night 2 though, man. Yeah. Charlie Brewster's still trying to get laid too.
That's right.
And you're just like, that's our good old Charlie.
Yeah. And it's great too. I like that they did the spin, so in the first Fright Night, it's his girlfriend who is seduced and gets bitten and is going to imminently turn into a vampire and become evil. Yeah. And we'll get back to, because that the final scene in the first Fright Night sells the movie. The first 89 minutes are absolutely worth the last 3, right?
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Forget everything else. But anyway, so we're gonna jump back and forth here. But it's cool because now they just flip that in Fright Night 2. Now Charlie Brewster is the one who gets bit. Yes. And he's starting to downward spiral, and it's his girlfriend and good old Peter Vincent again, who are going to have to bring him back from the bad. Yeah. And
it's great.
I will say, and there's a dynamic different. I shouldn't say dynamic. There's a major difference too between the first and the second one. In the first one, we only have 2 bad guys. There's only ever 2 bad guys, right? There's Jerry Dambridge, and then there's his goon. In this one, they said, "Hey, let's do something different and have a whole pack of vampires." They have a crew, and actually, one guy's a werewolf. Yes, and he's one of the coolest 80s werewolves Period.
I love that guy.
If you like 18-inch fingers on your werewolf, this guy is for you.
Yep,
that actor too. Oh, dude, what is that guy's name?
That guy was like
so good.
Oh man, he was
such a character.
Definitely. He was like the guy. He was the next Christopher Lloyd from Taxi. You know,
Yes.
he was that guy. He was like, we need another guy that to act like the crazy drunken dude. Yeah, that pack of them. You got Brian. Isn't it Brian Thompson?
Yes.
Our boy Brian Thompson is the leader of those crazy vampires.
Who we talk about just about every episode. But this is one of my favorite Brian Thompson characters ever. He plays such a great character.
Mm-hmm.
He's the goon in this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like the very straight. He's got his suit on, and everybody else is kind of wild and gangly and weird. Yeah. But he's just like totally pro.
He's Wall Street.
Yeah. But then he's catching all of these little bugs and talking to them in their Latin names as he eats them, because he's a total Oogie Boogie character, right? Yeah, he's this boogeyman who's just full of bugs.
Oh man!
And we see it when he finally gets destroyed, just like Oogie Boogie. He's just a walking skin suit full of creatures.
So that was really well done special effects too.
Yeah.
I think we had all the same special effects people from the first one that were on this one. I'm pretty sure.
I think it is, yeah. Yep.
Maybe not Rob Bottin, but they were the same. A lot of those, they did just fantastic work. Yeah. We have to go back to the end scene of Fright Night.
Okay, so let's jump back to that first. Yes.
Just makes the movie.
Yes. Yeah. It really is. Those times when you're watching movies and you're like, you get so happy because it culminates all right at the end, and it's just like everything comes together, and you're like, dang, yes. And that's Fright Night.
Oh man, that's the trajectory and the arc that you want a really great film to do, where it's everything's leading up to this climax, and then the climax is great.
It doesn't disappoint.
Yeah. That bat creature that he turns into, and then he just crashes.
When he bats out. Yep.
Oh. Yep. I mean, it's still really just some of my favorite special effects.
Yes.
You know? Maybe not the best special effects ever, but some of my favorite.
No,
because it's so atmospheric.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. So they're locked down in the basement. Mm-hmm. The windows are all painted black, and Jerry's gonna get the upper hand. But they figure, they finally waited long enough, right? So they start breaking the windows out, and he's just going like totally berserk. Oh, man, just like totally freaking Chris Sarandon in that makeup is
just
so
the
good.
Best.
And then he finally is like, fuck it, I'm just gonna vamp out, and he turns into this like
deadite
thing. Yeah, deadite, totally. Yeah. Flies into the sun and bursts into flame on this. Yeah,
so good. And I love that house too. I think that house is such a great character in the movie too.
It really is. Yeah,
because it's just it's so spooky, and it's like the quintessential. Like that's what you think a vampire would be living in. And
living in that.
Yeah, and although we're going to save a lot of our critique for the remake in the next episode, I do want to touch on this. I think this is a really good time to talk about this, where the remake didn't have that same kind of character to the house.
It did not at all.
Yeah, and I think you're missing a lot.
Yeah.
I understand what they were doing.
Yep.
There's a lot of really smart choices they made in the remake.
Absolutely.
But that house, we're missing that house.
Yep.
And we're missing that climax too.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about the air getting let out of your tires, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we both were loving the remake. Right. We get to the end, and you can just feel the energy in the room just because it's just you're like, this is it. This is the end.
Right.
Did I miss something?
Really, that's exactly how I felt. Like, wait.
So they're going to do that? Okay. Yeah. Why? I think a great one of the things I always think about for endings of movies. Yeah. And this is a pure nostalgia thing.
Yes.
The original Batman 1989 with Michael Keaton, right?
Oh, yes.
I love that movie.
Me too.
It's so important to me, that movie is. Yep. But one great thing about that movie, it's not the best movie ever made. We can talk endlessly about better made movies or more important films and all these things. But one of the great things about that movie is the climax of that. Yep. You've got them going upstairs to the very top of the top of the church, the bell tower.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. Now this is going back probably 15 years again too, to Donnie Darko days.
Oh yes.
But I remember watching the Batman 15th anniversary DVD, right?
Yep.
Now we're gonna have the 30th anniversary next year. crazy.
Oh, man.
But
Yep.
watching that in the commentary, and they said that they're filming the movie and they're making everything, and then I think it was Nicholson and Tim Burton went to go see Hunchback of Notre Dame, the original Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that whole scene they came up with after they saw that during filming.
Yeah.
So that wasn't in the script, that whole bell tower stuff.
Yes.
But Nicholson knew.
Yeah.
And I think it was the producer John Peters too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They knew that they needed that feeling at the end of the
right.
They needed to build up to something, and they needed that big bang boom at the end, right?
Right.
And they saw that in Hunchback of Notre Dame.
The music too, when they're in there fighting and the bells are going.
Yeah,
and,
it's just
yeah.
You just know like things are coming to a head now.
Yep.
And they saw that back in whatever 1929 or whatever when Hunchback of Notre Dame. Hunchback of Notre Dame did the same thing and nailed it. And they're like, that's what we need. That's a cinematic experience.
Yeah.
And Fright Night has it.
Yes.
Fright Night 2013.
Boy,
they needed that. You know,
they needed
that cinematic thing.
Yeah.
And one other thing I'll say that was there. If you ever get a chance, people, to watch Kevin Smith talk about him working on the Superman remake in 1999 with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And Burton was going to direct that, right?
Right.
And there's a great YouTube video where Kevin Smith talks about working on the script for that. And that producer from Batman, right, was also producing this. And he just made a ton of money off of Batman, you know.
Right.
He created the comic book summer blockbuster movie, basically, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And he's like, okay, we're gonna make Superman, and then Kevin Smith's writing the script, and then he goes to him, you got to have a big giant mechanical spider in there, and he's like, what? This is Superman. He's like, I just have this feeling you got to have this giant mechanical spider, like a robot spider.
Producers.
Superman should fight it, right? And he's just like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, okay, but he's like, okay, yeah, sure. And they're paying him tons of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he never used it, right? They never made the movie.
Yeah, right.
He said a few years later, he's watching a movie called Wild Wild West.
Oh, right.
Produced by John Peters.
With a giant
mechanical spider. So he got to use it. And guess what? It wasn't a good idea even then.
That movie was lame.
So that's the thing. So producers, you know, they have good ideas and they have bad ideas.
That's right.
And
that's right.
You got to kind of like keep them at arm's length, I think.
Man, totally. Or you need to keep them next to Jack Nicholson or somebody who knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Who can be like, hey, listen here.
Yeah. This is a good idea. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So in Fright Night has it in spades though, man. They have that ending.
Yep.
It still holds up today.
Yep.
And it's just like, man, that is a great climax of a great movie.
Yep.
And Fright Night 2 has it as well, part 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With the elevator scene and everything.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And I think Fright Night 2 is really cool in that it splits your attention more between what people are doing. It's not so much that you're on the Charlie Brewster train the whole time like you are in the first one.
Yeah. I know what you're going to talk about. The bowling scene. Right?
Yes. You read my mind, Peter. It's exactly what I'm talking about. Is just for the pure fact of, hey, we've got these weirdos. What can we do with them?
Yeah.
It seems kind of just whimsical, right? So they go to the school, and the school has a bowling alley in the basement, and they just decide to kill the people at the bowling alley and then bowl with the guy's head.
Yes.
With the
moment
attendant's head.
It's a moment of genius.
And they're bowling themselves down the aisles, and it's kind of a music video montage thing going on.
It is.
And then what always I thought was so even weirder about that. So they're all villains, right? They're a werewolf and a goon and a freaking couple of vampires, right?
And the cross-dressing woman man. But we found out actually was a man.
Yes.
Yeah. On the rollerblades.
Yeah.
Or roller skates.
Goodness. That skating into camera.
Yes.
That's so classic. That scene. Smoke, skating, roller skating into camera.
Pure awesomeness.
But anyway, so why? Tell me this. Why the bad guys are playing a prank, and the one guy, we find out, pulls the attendant's head off. and sticks it in the ball return. And then the werewolf guy goes and he's like, ha, 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 ha. And he picks up the guy's head out of the ball return and then he freaks out. He's like, wah! And he goes totally ape shit and crazy. Like,
why does that happen? I don't know.
Like, wouldn't he have just been like, "Hi, it's cool," then like maybe eaten it?
Yeah,
I just don't get it. He goes totally fucking nuts, though.
You're right.
And then they start fighting, and then they're all like, "Okay," and then they just whatever.
I mean, he knew who he was hanging out with, right?
Right.
Why would he be surprised with that? Maybe at that point he was it when he was already starting to like go after Charlie's girlfriend? Because maybe he was getting sensitive at that point.
Ooh,
you know?
maybe.
She was changing him, you know. And where he was freaked out by his friends who were bowling with severed heads. I don't do that anymore. I changed.
Man. This is what Fright Night 2 has to offer
Yeah.
people. That and his super long fingers are so good. There's so many gags of him sticking his finger in the window and
just thinking that too.
and scratching on stuff man, dude, they really are like. I'm sure that the director saw what they were able to do with his character, and they're like, "Oh, God, we got so many jokes that we can do with your humongous fingers."
Oh man, he's just hilarious.
When he falls off the side of the building into the hedges.
Yeah, I know.
And that character too, he's such a goofball.
Yeah,
you know, it's like it just worked.
He's just fun. He's fun to have around.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you too. I think it's some of Brian Thompson's best work.
Oh yeah.
We always call him the poor man's Arnold Schwarzenegger around here.
That's right.
Because he seemed to get those kind of roles where it's like, they wish they would have gotten Arnold, but Brian Thompson is here.
Get Brian Thompson.
Yeah. My other favorite thing he did was in the X-Files, where he had the green blood coming out of the back of his neck.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
good stuff too.
That was a great one. Yeah.
Stay away from the TV series I think it's just called Werewolf. Where Brian Thompson shows up in that as the villain.
Yep.
Ooh, that's a tough one to sit through. Definitely was much better in my brain thinking about it, thinking about the memory of it.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking the gym that he did called Mortal Kombat 2, where he's the Emperor. Or
does he have big hair in that one?
He's got a giant helmet.
Oh, okay.
He's got that huge rubber helmet.
He's
the
great.
skull helmet.
Yep.
It's not Shao Kahn. He's like Shao Kahn's boss. Right?
Gotcha.
He's like the main bad dude.
Yeah.
And that's lame.
I have a feeling. I mean, he may have been a guy that like always wanted to be an actor and studied his whole life to be an actor. But I just have a feeling when I look at him that he was just like on the beach lifting weights, you know?
Right.
And then everybody's like,
that guy has the look,
yeah,
man.
He looks kind of like Arnold. Yeah. Hey, kid, you want to be in a movie? He's like, oh, okay, I'll be in a movie. And then 10 years later, he's in all these horror movies. And he's got a whole career. And he's just like, I was just working out on the beach. I don't know what happened.
Night of the Creeps just fell in my lap.
Yes. Great reference. Love it. Dude.
See that for all of you Invasion of the Body Snatchers fans. Night of the Creeps is a good twist.
Man, that's a great
Slug
movie.
Invaders from an asteroid.
Tom Atkins, is it?
Tom Atkins, yes.
Tom Atkins.
Yep.
Who I was like,
horror.
Yeah.
Standby, right?
Oh, dude.
He's been in
Season of the Witch.
Oh, Seasons of the Witch.
I always like him though for the sad dad in Lethal Weapon Part 1.
Yeah.
Who was, he was a bad guy.
Yep.
Yeah. I always think of that from that movie. I don't know why. Even when I watched Night of the Creeps, I was like, oh yeah, it's the dad from Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, nice.
I'm a weird man.
Yes.
So anything else to say about Fright Night Part 2? Bad Blood. No, it is called Bad Blood, right? No,
Part
that's the
2.
new. Okay, yeah.
Fright Night Part 2. Yes.
Yes, just Part 2.
Yes. Then we will get to Fright Night 2.
I know one thing.
Bad Blood.
One thing we were saying when we were watching it, I remember, is it felt like this movie was made in Canada or England or somewhere that was not the United States.
That's right.
Even though it was pretending to be like Connecticut or something like that.
Yeah.
There was something weird about this. I think we even tried to look it up at the end of the credits.
And it didn't have location.
And we didn't
tell
have
location. Yeah. So, no, you're absolutely right. I totally forgot. But yeah, we kept like musing, like, dang it.
It feels. I think we're in like Czechoslovakia for some reason.
Right. It totally. So if you know out there, please post in the comments. Be like, hey, this gym was shot in
This was made in Slovenia, and I was there. Yeah.
Because it totally...
There's something weird about it. Yeah. It may be Canada.
Yeah.
It might be Canada.
I really think it's Canada. Yeah. There wasn't like that. Whoops. There wasn't that building where you're like, pow, I know that building. That's in Vancouver.
Right.
Type of thing, which you can do. There's so much of that made for TV, 80s, 90s stuff where it's like, man, they would use the same scenes over and over and over in the same buildings and exteriors and everything. But it didn't have that.
Yeah.
And then it had, the school building, if it was, assuming it was real, I'm pretty sure it was, you weren't immediately where are we? And
It was almost there was almost like an artificial feeling to it. Like as if it could be like an attraction in Epcot Center or something.
Totally.
Right?
Because if it was Boston or Connecticut or somewhere, you think they would have been more prominent about showing that.
Yes, exactly.
Right? This, they were trying to hide where it was at.
Yeah. They're like,
And so,
Right.
Yep.
Maybe it was France. I don't know. It just feels something weird about it. Like Eastern European, definitely. Or Canadian.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a major thing, I think. Anything else we can say about this?
Okay. Well, we'll talk about the actor, the roller skating actor, for a second.
He did a great job. We thought thought he was a she for a long time.
Okay, so the actor is Russell Clark.
Okay.
Best known for his part in Xanadu, probably, or so according to IMDb says. And so
he was in Xanadu.
I have thought since the first time I saw this movie until today, however many hundreds of years that is, that the character of Belle, which is Belle, which is a female name.
Yes.
I always thought that this was a female actor.
Yeah.
And this is what I was telling Peter was, you have this group of 5 bad guys, and this was the female character, right? This was the bad vampire chick. Right. So we have the main girl, right?
Yeah.
But it made way more sense that you had the main girl, then you had her. This character of Belle too is really her right hand.
Yes.
Right. She's always like handing stuff off to her, and she's kind of like her bodyguard, which is why I thought, oh, okay, cool. So there's these 2 women, and then you've got the 3. You've got the werewolf guy, and then you've got Brian Thompson. I guess there's 4 of them. Right?
No, you're right. Yeah. It's she felt like her understudy almost.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Like she was the apprentice kind of like.
Yeah. Because she wasn't the goon character. That was Brian Thompson's character. It totally was the goon. Right. He was the enforcer.
Yep.
Which is they all need the goon who can walk around during the day. This was definitely more the vampire understudy, because the character has no lines.
Yeah.
That's important.
Right.
Too.
Yep.
Because maybe the guy has a really deep voice and it would have given it away. But man, dude, the hair is so like...
Oh, and the nails too?
The giant long nails and everything. Yeah, I thought for sure it was a woman.
Yeah.
But it's a dude.
He did going on those roller skates through the smoke was very graceful too. And he was very like,
very effeminate. But...
Yeah. Well,
so it shows what we know.
Yeah.
Fooled us, man. So I guess as an actor, it's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah, for sure.
And that...
Yeah.
I thought that you actually were a female vampire, but nope.
No.
Not.
Yeah.
So props.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember like how they all bought the farm at the end now. How did he buy the farm? Do you remember?
Yeah.
I remember Brian Thompson turns into a pile of bugs.
Yes.
That's very clear to me.
Yep. Well, where does the end scene
I mean, it's in the elevator. Isn't it? Part of it's in the elevator shaft.
Yes.
Right?
Yep, totally. Yeah, there's that big chase scene that ends up in the elevator shaft. Yeah.
Anyways.
I don't know, but it was good.
Good.
We're dropping the ball here for you people. But,
the problem here is that it's been weeks.
Yes,
since
it
we've
has.
Seen it.
It shows you what we remember, right? We can remember the most intimate details of something 30 years ago,
I know.
But we can't remember the movie we watched
exactly
5 weeks ago.
I can remember the commentary from Batman from 15 years ago, but I can't remember something from 5 weeks ago. Yeah, exactly.
This is what happens when you get old, kids.
I know.
This is it.
Selective.
You'll become more and more selective and cryptic.
Yep, that's right. It's a little game we like to play with ourselves.
Yes.
But man, I gotta say, when you're done watching Fright Night Part 2, a little bit of you is sad that you're just kind of like, man, I really wish this was a huge blockbuster hit because it had everything going for it.
Yeah.
Nothing there wasn't a sour note throughout the whole thing.
Oh man, and for the time it came out in '88 too,
so rare.
Nightmare on Elm Street was blowing up.
Yes,
that was probably on part 3 or 4.
Yep.
By '88, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's absolutely no reason that this shouldn't have done just as good.
I know.
Well, it's just
I think a lot of it has to do though with, and we're still like this to this day. We love to pin everything on one character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh man,
like
so
when
true.
there's one baddie.
So true.
I mean, that's the whole reason why Halloween exists.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
The
right.
Halloween franchise.
Yep.
Because John Carpenter wanted it to be
that's right.
a what's the word for it? Tales from the Crypt type show.
Yeah.
Right.
An
anthology. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But everybody loved Michael Myers.
I know it.
Right. So.
Yep.
And everybody loves Freddy Krueger, and everybody loves Jason, and
That's
everybody loves Leprechaun, and everybody, like everybody, you can just list them off, right? And Fright Night, you're like, well, you can't bring Chris Sarandon back.
Yeah, I mean,
he blew up as a bat creature.
And that's the thing, yeah. So were we supposed to like Peter Vincent?
Yeah.
Or are you in the Charlie Brewster?
Right. But then we can't have a good character as the main character in a horror film, right? We have to like the bad character.
That's right.
That's like how we're trained now, right?
Yeah.
So
True.
interesting.
So true.
Yeah. But what would have been interesting is if they would have taken Peter Vincent and made him evil.
Ooh, yeah.
And then by the time you get to part 7 or 8,
right,
like he's just like this desiccated, There
we go. So I do know that in 1997, Roddy McDowell had a script that he was trying to get producers to look at right before he died.
No kidding.
For Fright Night Part 3.
Oh, wow.
Which was going to center around his character, Peter Vincent.
That's awesome. Because he knew he had something there.
But
he knew it was a good character, and
and there was no more Planet of the Apes on the horizon, which was really, I mean, that had to be his cash cow.
Oh God, yeah.
He was in 4 of the 5.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, if he was still alive today, what would he be cast as?
Yeah.
I mean, he's such a great character actor.
Yeah, he really was.
He's such a distinct kind of.
Very English, and he goes that kind of like proper.
Yeah, but he's not like
Englishman.
Patrick Stewart or Ian McKellen. He doesn't have that same level of like gravitas.
No. Totally different. Yeah.
But he's got this little unique thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's really nobody like him.
Right.
He's one in a million.
Unfortunately for today's generation. Yeah.
Well, sorry, but I'm gonna jump ahead again a little bit.
Do it.
But, David Tennant.
I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah, he is actually a pretty good.
That's right.
Roddy McDowell match.
Yes. So for all you Doctor Who fans, David Tennant is now
the new Peter Vincent
in Fright Night, the reboot 2011.
Yeah, he really did a fantastic job too.
Yeah. Definitely.
Man.
Definitely. The fact that, I mean,
he had a lot to live up to.
I knew that it was him. Yeah. But in the first part of the movie, when you see him in makeup, I mean, he plays that magician part, so well that until he takes the makeup off, you don't really see that it's him. Right. And I really liked that about the big reveal that he does. When he introduces the new Charlie Brewster, a.k.a. Anton Yelchin, in, and he's like, please, you got to help me. And he starts taking the makeup off. And you're like, oh, there he is, buried under all that, right?
Yeah, it's great.
I really like that,
Yeah, I feel like both David Tennant and Roddy McDowell could do a lot with their voice.
Yeah, right,
like,
totally.
Like, you'd be like, oh, these guys are pretty impressive. You better watch out. They're pretty tough, and then you're actually like, no, they're just slimy little weakling. They're wet noodles. They can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. But, but the way they use their voice, you're like, oh, wait a second.
That's right. Yeah.
That's kind of a cool thing that they can do.
Yeah. Using just your voice for command.
Yeah. Right.
It's like
gives you that
pow.
presence.
Here's the command.
Yep.
Which is it's a facade.
Right?
Yeah. It's not when push comes to shove.
Right.
Wet noodle.
Yep. And they both did that great.
Oh man,
that
perfectly.
Great, and
that dance.
Yeah, and you could see that with going back to the original with Roddy McDowell. You could see that with his character even too, right? Where he had that presence on screen, and then you go back to his apartment and he's just like this sad little man, surrounded by movie memorabilia and nothing else.
Right. Yeah, when he actually has to come face to face with Evil Ed, you know, and he's just like, he's freaking out. It's like,
yeah, I can't do this.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And this is like, it's one thing after another.
Yeah. So good. So good.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about the werewolf scene. So the werewolf scene in the first movie with Evil Ed is particularly good.
It really is.
Particularly good. It's werewolves are one of those things where they're either pure garbage or they're like, they blow your mind. They're so good, right? And
this was one of those.
Everyone's gonna we're always gonna go to American Werewolf in London as being the first, like, man, that transformation scene is the shit.
Yep.
But the transformation scene in the Evil Ed transformation scene in the first Fright Night is particularly good.
Yes, I agree.
Once he's wolfed out, and you see him.
I would also add the Howling, the first Howling.
Yes, the first Howling is easily as good, I think. Yeah, that. Again, to get our names right with Rob Bottin.
Yeah. And I love how they took his face, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those great things. I feel like they really were real artists back then,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they still are today too. I'm not gonna crap all over special effects today because there's some movies that are making great special effects.
Sure.
But back then, it was like they really studied the structure of his face.
Yeah.
And so when he transformed, it was such a like natural progression of like the shape of his jaw and how his whole face kind of stretched and his teeth.
Yeah.
He already had like those long teeth already. They just kind of they just amped it up and it was really such
another really good special effect in the first one was when he gets the cross burned into his forehead. Right. That is awesome. I mean, that just the shot of pushing it down there and you see the smoke coming out and he's like,
oh man,
and then
he
like slinks away. Oh
yeah,
so good.
You recreating that scene right now was just fun to watch, and it reminds me of why this movie was so great. Both of these movies are so great.
Yeah.
I feel like what they did perfectly was they took the vampire mythos, Dracula and all that stuff, and they just shook all the cobwebs off.
Right.
And they took everything that was cool and fun about vampires and Dracula to like a 12-year-old or a teenager.
That's right.
And they made all that stuff fun and interesting and cool, They're
like, it's 1985. Yeah. How do we make this cool for kids today?
And then Lost Boys took the baton.
Man, right.
They handed them the baton, and they kept going. And they're we're going to make this cool for a little bit older teenagers.
That's right. And I think Lost Boys was 87, right? I really think it was.
Yep.
That's why Fright Night Fright Night was on the tails of Lost Boys. And it should have done just as good as Lost Boys did. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yep. Better. It didn't have Corey Haim in it.
Right. and I think that's why we go to Bram Stoker's Dracula in '92, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. That's why that was such a huge shock to the system and such a huge hit too, because it was like for the entire '80s we had Fright Night and Lost Boys as like these are our vampire movies, And then
talk about a different direction.
Yeah, and just
such a different direction.
Pull the rug out from underneath you.
Yep.
Like, let's go back to the original now, and now you're going to see why the original is cool.
Right.
And we had never seen that before because we had
so true.
I mean, look at all those. I mean, probably now I like them now, but back then, all those Hammer vampire movies, even the original Bela Lugosi.
We wouldn't even talk about those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like old, that was part of that's being young.
Yeah.
But
just boring.
There was so much good stuff coming out.
Yeah.
That it was boring.
You're like, I don't get it.
I remember watching those horror movies too because my grandpa loved watching that stuff, and so he would always have Elvira on,
right?
And she would show those Hammer movies like nonstop. Yeah, and I'd just be like, this is lame.
Yeah, I'm bored.
Like, where's the good? Where's the meat?
Why are they talking so much?
Yeah. But it's funny, right? Because the Coppola Dracula got panned. I mean, it totally got panned.
Yeah, right.
It just really, there was a huge amount of hype.
Yeah.
And then people saw it and they were like, bleh.
Yeah. Well, Keanu Reeves, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And Winona Ryder. That was, both.
They both needed to learn how to, let's try to take some accent classes.
Just don't do an accent.
Don't do an accent.
If you're going to butcher it that bad.
Well,
right?
I think that was one of those movies that taught us that you can do a movie where you're supposed to be English
Yeah.
and not be English.
Right.
Like Kevin Costner in Robin Hood.
Right.
He's
Thank
like,
you.
you know what? I'm not even. Thank God he didn't try.
Yeah.
Because,
right.
oh, it would have been pretty
It
bad.
would have been garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Morgan Freeman, for that matter,
Yes.
right? He's a black dude in England in 1600. No, but okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like,
They're just
we don't
like,
need no
yeah,
accents.
yeah. And it works.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Christian Slater kind of did a fake English accent, didn't he?
Ah.
But that's why Christian Slater doesn't do much work anymore.
Yeah, I know
because,
it.
you
I know it. Talk about somebody
Yeah.
who is like at the absolute height
Yeah.
of what was cool
Yeah.
to being like
Yeah.
nada,
Yeah.
right? True Romance. Oh, dude.
Oh man.
Can't even talk about how good that movie is right now, or we're gonna be here all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is one of those movies we always bring up whenever we talk about movies.
Yeah.
It's True Romance because it's just so
'Cause it's
freaking
so
good.
Freaking good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's over the top good.
But I wanted to say one other thing about
Yes.
Bela Lugosi's
Yes.
Dracula.
Yes.
Is I mean, it did have atmosphere though. It
Oh,
did
yeah.
have like as a kid I remember like there's something weird about that. That's kind of
Yes.
creepy.
Oh,
but I don't want to sit through and watch.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Those sets too.
Yeah.
Like how everything was far. I think was a lot more dependent on set design.
Yep.
Whereas now it seems like money has kind of made that not an issue anymore. You
Yes.
can have whatever you want, but
Yep.
back then that wasn't the case,
Right.
right? And so especially those shots when they're in with the stairwell
Yes.
and Renfro and
Yeah,
Dracula
yeah.
at the top of the stairwell and everything. Those were just epic,
Whoa.
epic,
Yeah.
giant shots,
Yep.
and really cool. Very noir, you know.
Yeah.
The bedside stuff too.
Yes.
Those were all just
Yep.
really good scenes.
Oh yeah, man, Nosferatu, man.
Yeah.
That makes me think of
Right.
Nosferatu and
I just watched Salem's Lot the other night,
Oh,
and so
dude.
as soon as you said
Yeah.
Nosferatu, I was like, oh
Yeah.
yes.
So I take that back. There were some pretty good vampire movies in the 70s.
Yeah. There's one.
But
Yeah.
Yep. Because wasn't it Werner Herzog that did the Nosferatu one with
Yes.
Klaus Kinski?
Yes.
He was so freaking
Yeah.
creepy in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Fright Night took the vampire mythos, made it fun,
Made it hip. Yeah.
made it
totally.
hip,
Totally.
injected the MTV juice into it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and
And I
it was
wonder too,
just-
it'd be interesting to talk to insiders to know what the relationship between the first Fright Night and then Lost Boys getting greenlit, if there was anything there
Yeah.
other than just producers sitting around and saying, yes, look,
Yeah.
that did good.
That did good.
We'll do that.
yeah. Well, and I think one thing we haven't really touched on, but I think and we kind of got on this track with The Thing too when we were talking about how it was about AIDS too.
Oh, yes.
And I know like a lot of that blood stuff
Oh, yeah.
had to do with the AIDS scare in the 80s too, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Oh, my
that's
goodness,
that
yes.
it was one of the things that was like repellent and attractive about the vampire.
That's
because,
right.
Because it
And
was
I mean,
all about blood.
there's that scene, that dialogue in Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, where Anthony Hopkins as Professor Van Helsing is explaining what vampirism is, and he's saying it's an STD.
Yes.
And he just lays it right out.
Yep.
He's like, "What is vampirism? It's syphilis, right?"
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
"It's gonorrhea. It's
Yeah.
an STD."
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that whole little scene right there. It's when he's doing the big speech to his class, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody slips him the note that
Yeah.
says, "Hey,
Right,
so and so's here to see you," and he's
Yeah.
like, "Okay,"
Yeah.
and he leaves. But I mean, Coppola just came right out and said it. That's what all of this is about,
Yep.
right?
Yep,
It's
that's
why
true.
people are so freaked out about it internally because it's reflecting something that's actually happening, some real legitimate fear
Yep.
that's going on. And vampires give us like a direct connection to that idea of
You're
you know,
right.
the other and the infection and
Yep.
and being connected to the other
Yep.
in this weird way
Yep.
after the fact. And,
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's a disease, right? Like you have to live with being a vampire
yeah.
afterwards.
Oh
and,
yeah. Right.
Yeah. So really interesting.
Yep.
Well, Dr. K,
Yes.
I think that we have pretty much covered this.
Have we
topic,
got it all?
you think?
All right.
Yeah.
For part one,
For part one.
listeners, part two will be coming up pretty soon. As soon as we can scratch out a few hours to get it made. But yeah, I think we did pretty good. We're gonna have a good setup here for our next installment, which will be Fright Night 2011 and its
Yes.
sequel, Fright Night 2 2013.
Right. yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about there too because, well, I know we will because
absolutely, yeah.
We have, that first one,
Alone, right?
Alone is just ripe with stuff.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to do that. We're gonna do that soon.
Yes.
Hopefully, maybe we'll do that before 5 or 6 weeks pass by.
Hey, all right. Whoopsh. Get to work, you lazy bums.
Yeah. Well, we
what our poor listeners don't know is that we both have a million kids and regular day jobs that we have to do, and right now we're sitting here at 2 a.m.
Yes.
Actually, 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah, close enough.
Recording this, and it's going to take us another 6 or 8 hours of editing to put it all together.
But it's fun.
Whether or not you're sympathetic to that, it doesn't matter. We're going to get it to you, people.
Yeah, we will
get
it
to you.
We'll get it to you.
So,
and it's so fun, and I think for the second one we're going to do that really soon though, because I think
definitely.
I think we're ready to see that.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since I've seen a good movie other than Summer of '84.
Yes.
I did watch Class of '99 recently, which I told you about.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was lame. It was lame with a capital L.
Yes. Just like tonight when I was watching Youngblood at dinner, and I go out to Chicago Pizza to get some food on my way home from the doctor's, and I text Peter here. I'm like, "Hey Pete, I'm sitting at Chicago Pizza, and they've got Rob Lowe's Youngblood on the TV screen here, and man, it's crap.
It's not good. Not good." But I do like the other text you sent me about Brian, was it Brosworth?
Oh yes,
Stone Cold.
People, for you lovers of action, you must see Stone Cold. It's the forgotten gem of my lifetime. I can't believe I haven't seen it. What you people out there don't know is that my co-host and very good friend here, Peter, is the absolute king of all things action.
Well, thank you.
And he's an expert in his own right.
Well, many hours have been spent watching Van Damme, Seagal, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Jeff Speakman, The Perfect Weapon. But please continue.
Yes. But I was sitting around the other night and watched 1992 Stone Cold with the great Brian Bosworth. And it was a mind blower how good it was.
And
man, it really is Lance. Yeah, it's Lance Henriksen at his best. I mean, I love that guy. He's got so many movies that are in my absolute top favorites.
Yes.
He is over the top good as the crazed biker mob boss of Stone Cold.
Then I'm going to throw the gauntlet down right now.
Yeah.
Dr. K, and say that we have to watch soon House Part 3 starring Lance Henriksen, which I read about in a Wikipedia article.
Man.
And it's a bad movie when you can't even hardly finish the article about it because the article is boring you to death. And that was the main critique of that movie was it's like, why is this a house movie?
Yeah.
They needed another one. But it has Lance Henriksen in it.
Yes.
And we need to see it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I want you to make a promise.
I mean, the first house is okay. And the second house is like, what's the point of life? And so the third house.
It's like somebody needs to get money off of this somehow.
Yes. Oh, crap.
Yeah. What's really sad about that is I think there's 5 house movies or 4.
Right? Shit, I didn't even know there was 3.
and get this, I didn't either until recently. But up until recently, they used to sell like all 5 of them in a pack.
Oh,
you could buy all the house movies, and it was like dirt cheap.
Right.
Now it's out of print.
Of course.
Now you look it up, and now it's $200, $300 to get all the house movies.
Yeah.
So please, people, if you have a copy of House 3, 4, or 5, watch it, make copies, send it out to everybody you can.
Everybody you know.
Put it on the interwebs for us.
Yes. Because, we need some house.
Yeah.
Some more house. Oh,
but tell us a little bit more about Lance Henriksen in the Stone Cold.
So Stone Cold. Which is it's so it's the first Brian Bosworth movie, right? So his NFL career is over. He gets greenlit, so this movie gets greenlit, right? And it's big budget. It's really, it would have been like a Stallone or a Van Damme movie.
It's a legit action
because
movie.
they were really trying to push Bosworth is the next guy. And I got to say this, as far as acting goes, he's just as good as any of those machismo.
Really?
He really does have a good sense of not looking directly into camera and not mush mouthing his lines. And
is he as good as Jeff Speakman though? Because that's the real litmus test right there. Yeah. Wow. We got to see it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep. The Lance Henriksen part, the Bosworth stuff is good. He's obviously the main character, right? The story is kind of flimsy. Yeah. He's a cop who's gotten suspended, and so he's suspended without pay because of his rough antics. Because it's just that typical.
He never plays by the rules.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So this cop, and it's all set in Florida. So this this FBI guy comes and knocks on his door, and he opens the door, and he's got, literally he's just done waking up in the morning, banging his girlfriend, and he's got like a G-string Speedo on that he answers the door in for this cop to come in, and it's just, it's so 90s action, just junk, right?
They had to do that in those action movies where it's like you have to show off the body at some point.
Yeah. And so then it's the pitch, So okay, hey, we're gonna reinstate you. You're gonna get paid. You're gonna get blah 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 if you go undercover and do all this stuff. He's like, no, I wouldn't do that. And then like, you'll never work again then. Ha ha ha. And he's like, okay, you bullied me into it. It's flimsy.
Okay, so what I was thinking though was that it was like, you got to come back, but on the condition that your new partner, Lance Henriksen.
But it's not Lance Henriksen. So they do exactly that, and it's this other. Oh man, I forget that actor's name.
Rob Schneider.
No, but he's like that. I don't think he was really a comedian.
Okay.
But he was totally a Rob Schneider type of like schmucky FBI guy who plays the super straight guy, right?
He's got a calculator.
Yeah,
he's like,
exactly.
We've killed 57 people today.
Yeah. So the running gag is, how are they both going to go undercover as bikers if this one guy's a total schmuck? Yeah. There's all of your comedic relief jokes, right? Lame. No, Lance Henriksen is
Henriksen. There's no
Henriksen.
D. There's no D in there. Yep.
Thank you. Yep. Yes, Henriksen is the biker boss of these like crazed coke addict bikers in. I think they're in like Tampa Bay or somewhere. And he is like so over the top, and he's got this fantastic wig on. Oh man, he's like long hair.
Okay, I'm watching this right now.
Yeah, it's his parts are great. His lines are great. He's a really really good arch villain. Like I think of what's his name, the English actor in the first Die Hard. What's his
Hans
name?
Gruber. Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. Yeah. So he played that kind of archetypal.
That's great.
You totally buy into what he's doing.
Man.
So obviously he's not playing the English bad guy. He's playing this like real American biker. But oh man, it's Lance firing on all cylinders, and it's too bad because his performance really outweighs the rest of the movie.
Right.
But then it turns into like bikers chasing semis, black dogs, Patrick Swayze style black dog, and Randy. What's his name?
Randy Quaid.
Randy. No. The country western singer.
Oh yeah.
Randy Johnson. What's his name? No, it's the picture.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He goes, they're jacking the load. That stupid shit. There's a lot of that nonsensical.
We will. I think we're going to stop doing the Neighborhood Watch and just do podcasts about Brian Bosworth movies after this, because I'm sold. I'm sold. I want to see it now.
Yeah. So it's good. And it's got one of those like the ending. The ending scene takes like 25 minutes, and it's just a gun shootout with literally 400 people.
Oh, that's great.
It's got cops, it's got Brian, it's got bikers holding a federal building hostage.
Yes.
And just like machine guns.
Oh, man.
They're really like, they looked at every Stallone movie and said, it has to be bigger than that. It has to be bigger than that. It has to be bigger than that.
Awesome.
And there's a helicopter. It's like the helicopter flying into the side of the building before Arnie did it in Last Action Hero with the jump jet thing that was that whole fight scene on a hovering jump jet.
Help me, get me out of here.
Yeah. Shoot that evil guy on the rocket. Okay. Oh man.
Yeah. So much goodness.
But it's good. It's good. That was a total tangent there.
Well,
so, yeah, people watch Stone Cold too.
I think we'll make this section of the episode like the bonus material
at
the end of the episode after the theme song.
Yes.
You can listen. We'll be like, and now for you special listeners.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think that there's a crossover here, right?
Yeah.
People that love horror movies
they're
gonna want to see it. It's got Lance Henriksen in it, for God's sake.
Man, right. And if there isn't I mean, dude,
all
Pumpkinhead, Aliens, name them all.
All those House 3 fans are just like, what? I had no idea.
Right.
So, yeah. No, I mean, God, no, not to make fun of Lance Henriksen, though. Seriously, that guy's in amazing movies.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Pumpkinhead, too?
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah, we haven't even scratched
Millennium
Pumpkinhead yet.
Remember the Millennium TV series?
Yeah. Yep.
What
really.
I mean,
and Aliens, too.
Yeah.
Alien and Alien 3, which he's got a much smaller part in Alien 3, but
Bishop.
Dude.
He makes it, man. He
fantastic.
makes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And you know that he was originally supposed to be the Terminator.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That would have been an entirely different kind of movie, I think.
That's right.
It might have worked,
all the way through pre-production before they really got to getting it done. Yeah, Cameron had it. He had already talked to him. He already had him cast.
So they just pushed him over to be one of the cops.
They made him one of the cops. Yeah, he said, "Well, I'm not going to totally cut you out, but because they wanted the Terminator originally to be like this covert, sneaky, in the shadows type character, and then
more like RoboCop, more sleek and everything.
Yeah. But then they fell in love with this idea of Schwarzenegger was just skyrocketing, and they said, "Oh, wait a minute, let's just make him a big, huge, brutish thing."
Yeah. Right.
And so they kind of switched, but he was. They even have pre-production art with him as the Terminator.
That's cool. Well, that's why the Now Comics #1 looks kind of like Lance Henriksen, doesn't it?
It does.
The cover of that.
It really does.
Interesting. I love those cops though. Paul Winfield too.
Oh yeah.
They're great. Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul Winfield, Captain. What's his name from Star Trek 2? Is that 2 or 3?
Yeah, no, you're right. I think
that was
2.
2. It was Khan. Yeah, because Khan puts
he got killed by Khan.
The thing in his ear. Yeah. Yep.
Love it. Yeah. Well, ladies and gents.
Yep.
How long are we at now? We're an hour.
Man, we're at an hour 41.
Wow.
This really is a mega episode.
We really prattled on.
Yep.
That's great. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for listening to us.
Everybody, enjoy your Fright Night thrills now that we've set you on the path of righteousness here. And please stay tuned. We will have Fright Night Part 2, Episode 2.
Yes.
Part 2, or is it Episode 2?
Episode 2 Redux.
There we go.
Special
which will
edition.
include us talking about Fright Night the reboot and its sequel, Fright Night 2.
And Stone Cold.
And Stone Cold. More on Stone Cold to be continued.
I'm gonna watch it in the meantime. We're gonna have a lot to say. So.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we love you guys, and we'll be catching up to you soon. And thanks for being here at the Neighborhood Watch.
Adios.